DFS Show with John Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, FA Nation? John Impemba here with Keith Eister. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook live show. We are here for the Thursday 6-game main slate. Keith, I am sure many out there are enjoying some MLB opening day. But you know what? The MLB did us a favor. They started their slates at 4 p.m. Eastern time today, 3 p.m. if you're over on FanDuel, which means we are free and clear, hopefully, for some NBA DFS tonight, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern time over on DraftKings. Late night games start at 8 p.m. on this slate, so that's great. A 1 hour block for all the news and notes that come through for us here. Not having to wait until 9:30 to find out if Nikola Jokic and Jason Tatum are going to play, like we had to deal with yesterday. So all good stuff here. 6 games. You were on the playbook, so you did a lot of the dirty work for us. That's live over on Fantasy Alarm. You can check that out. How are we feeling about things tonight, Keith?
Feeling really well. MLB opening day, one of my favorite days of the entire year. I'm a huge baseball fan as well, so
What's
definitely excited. I'm a Cubs fan. Grew up near Chicago, relocated to Arizona now, but definitely Cubs through and through.
Nice. I'm just outside Boston, so I've been enjoying the Garrett Crochet experience here to this point. But we're talking some NBA, so we appreciate all of you guys who are sticking with us here. Coach Chris popping in saying time to get paid. Des saying he can't take much more NBA DFS. Des, yeah, listen, this is certainly a tough time of the year. Can't help the injuries, right? Campaign going down with the injury, but rotations, guys that end up are ruled out in and out of the lineups. Yesterday, we watched the Washington game. We had Justin Champagnie with a double-double, only ended up playing 22 minutes during that game. They basically didn't play him in the second half. That's just going to happen with some of these teams that are tanking. We have teams on back-to-backs tonight. The Lakers, we'll see if, as of now, everybody's looking like they're good to go. But, who knows? Like maybe something pops up there. But they had their game winner last night from LeBron James on the tip-in shot. Matchup against Chicago, which we just saw a couple of nights ago, which was super high scoring. So it should be a pretty interesting slate in terms of roster construction and where we look to go here tonight, Keith.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a tough time of year, like you mentioned, but that does provide some opportunities as well, because we can take some guesses. Teams like Washington that run out different rotations seemingly nightly. There's some opportunity. If you dig in a little bit, you can find some edges possibly from situations like that.
Yep, I agree with you 100% there. So we do appreciate, again, you guys hit that like, that share, that subscribe button, and we'll be happy to keep on moving on with you guys. A couple of weeks left in the NBA regular season. Your top overall spend ups tonight: Luka, SGA, LeBron up over $10,000. Banchero's $9,900. Again, a guy that we can kind of throw into that mix. Anthony Davis expected to play on the other side of that matchup at 10-1. Looking at point guard, again, we have Luka at 12K, SGA at 10-9. Do you find either of them on a 6-game slate tonight, given their matchups and circumstances, a place you'd be looking to spend up for today?
Can always look to spend on these two guys for sure. Two of the highest ceilings in the league. SGA, the MVP favorite. Luka, we know he can put up 80 fantasy points any night. I will say value on this shorter slate is pretty tough right now. So if we don't get injury news, I don't think either of them will be a priority for me. I generally play about 20 lineups, so I will have some exposure. But if I was playing 1 to 3 lineups, I don't know that I would get to them on this slate. There are a couple really strong options just below them that we will get to. But of course, they could break any slate that they're on. So Luka and SGA, both great. Currently not priorities for me, though.
You mentioned a guard below them. Josh Giddey, the last time he was in this matchup, went for 73 fantasy points. He also had 8 steals in that game. I'd say probably an outlier, but 17 assists, 10 rebounds, triple-doubled in that one. He followed it up with a 49, nearly 50 fantasy point performance against Denver. You got him. You got Trae Young at 94. Thoughts on the next 2 guards down?
Yeah, I mean, just look at Giddey's game logs. This guy's been putting up 50-plus points for the better part of a month now. He's flirting with a triple-double every night. I'm not scared of this matchup against the Lakers. Not necessarily scared of the questionable tag or Lonzo Ball potentially returning. So there are some things you could point to maybe poke some holes in Giddey. The price tag being one, we're just not used to paying this price tag for Josh Giddey. But it's like, just look at his last month of production. It's basically a 20-point triple-double every night. He's just been incredible, filling up the stat sheet, even adding some defensive stuff like you mentioned.
Yeah.
The assists, the rebounds we know are going to be there. He's scoring at a great clip now. Nothing bad to say about Josh Giddey for me. Trae Young finds himself in a little bit of a tougher matchup. So if I was picking between the two, it's definitely Giddey for me.
Yeah, listen, Trae obviously against Miami. We talk about this a lot. Grande, who's in the chat here, doesn't like going in the Miami matchups far too often. There's the slow pace, generally the low totals here. They do find themselves sometimes in these randomly high scoring games, but for the most part, when you have Giddey there, that's great. And then you also have Halliburton at $8,700, another guy that has just been ridiculous of late in these spots. Now, we did see them play yesterday. So there are chances potentially that we see Halliburton or some of these starters limited to some degree here, but still very confident in this matchup against Washington at $8,700. Donovan Mitchell's back in the lineup. No Evan Mobley. He's 88. Tyler Hero on the other side is a big pace up spot for Miami. He's at $8,200.
Yeah, Halliburton has been incredible. He's playing like he was at the beginning of last season when he's getting basically 20 points and 12 assists every single night. He's been doing that for a good couple of weeks now. He has one of the best possible matchups on the board, so nothing wrong with that. I really like the Cleveland guys as well. The Spurs have been one of the best matchups in the league ever since Wembanyama went down with a season-ending injury. They've been, I think it's 27, 28, somewhere very near the bottom of the league in defense. So great matchup for those guys. No Evan Mobley, like you mentioned. That's a nice boost for both of them. Both guys receive about a 2.5% usage bump, a little more for Mitchell. Garland also sees about a 2.5% assist rate bump. So nice spot for both of the Cleveland guys. Hero in a great matchup as well. The Atlanta matchup for lead guards is always interesting to me because Dyson Daniels is one of the premier perimeter defenders in the entire league. But Atlanta stinks on defense as a whole unit. So we know this is a switching league. He's not going to be matched up on Daniels the entire night. He can certainly find a ceiling here. You look at their previous two matchups. One of them, he was shut down. He only had like 25 fantasy points. The other one, he had 50 fantasy points. So you might think it's a tougher matchup because of Daniels on the other side, but Atlanta as a whole is not great defensively, and they play really fast, second fastest pace in the league. So certainly don't mind some Hero either. This is a really strong range, and primarily the reason why I'm not prioritizing Luka or SGA tonight.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, if you think that Daniels gets the Hero matchup, well, we have a cheaper Andrew Wiggins at $6,600 that we can maybe take a look at as well when we get over to the small forward position. Dinwiddie is here. I know Brandon Williams was like closing in on the end of his 10-day. I think Grande said he's got like a game or two remaining. So we'll see. That's him currently questionable if they decide to burn that game now or not. But Dinwiddie's still just playing an elite amount of minutes. Tough, slow pace against Orlando, obviously not like the best matchup, but there is that there. Scottie Pippen continues to sort of break the slate. $6K now though, price tag coming up on him. What are your thoughts sort of as we work our way down the rest of this position?
Yeah, I don't mind Dinwiddie. It's a really tough matchup for him. Orlando, another one of these teams that plays really slow and plays great defense. He's going to be out there for 30 plus minutes though, more than likely. So you can go there. I probably prefer Pippen if I was picking between the two. Pippen's price is coming up, like you mentioned, which is not ideal, but still no John Morant. Really tough matchup for him against Oklahoma City as well. Best defense in the league, but at least they play at a fast pace. So I slightly prefer the spot for Pippen. I think you can look at Castle for some ceiling here. Has just had a massive usage rate, another tough matchup spot, but don't mind him looking for ceiling. That's really about it. Not interested in Jordan Poole with the way Washington is using him at this moment. And then not enough ceiling necessarily from a guy like Nembhard, even though I do really like the matchup.
For sure. Any other value for you? You mentioned obviously liking some of the San Antonio guys. There's Chris Paul down at $4,500. Washington guards, AJ Johnson last night, 34 minutes for him. What do we think? Any other like cheap guys that you'd be willing to play here?
Yeah, actually a few names in this 4K range. First, Ty Jerome at 4,500, I think is interesting. He's on the injury report, so keep an eye out there. But we talked about that San Antonio matchup. he has not been getting a ton of minutes. I don't know if that's injury related. He is a great per minute producer though. So even if we only get 20, 22 minutes out of him, you still feel okay about him finding a ceiling in a great matchup. AJ Johnson started for the Wizards last night. So if he's in the starting lineup again, played 30 minutes, that's definitely a guy you could look to go back to. Good spot for him against Indiana as well. Davion Mitchell, a guy that's going to play a bunch of minutes for the Heat, even off the bench. Good up-tempo matchup for him against the Hawks. And then Anthony Black has been playing 30 minutes off the bench the last two games. They're starting Corey Joseph in place of Cole Anthony, who's doubtful again to play. So likely get Joseph as a starter, but he's only playing like 18 to 20 minutes as a starter. Anthony Black is the guy that you really want in this injury situation. He's been playing really well. So don't mind me some Anthony Black.
Anthony Black almost helping me to a takedown the other night, 5%. No one played him.
Saw that.
I played him, and he dominated that game. So willing
nice
to run
little
that
day
back.
for you there. Saw that screenshot.
Yeah, it was nice, dude. We were sweating it out. We were trying to record a baseball show, and Grandes keeps on messaging me that we're in the top 5 of these contests here. We just ran out of steam at the end there with the Jerome Mobley combo. But dude, love the Anthony Black call against Dallas. Again, Dallas not a great defensive team. You just have to wonder, if they can. Anthony Davis being back, they might be more competitive, than usual here. So I don't mind that. All right, shooting guard Desmond Bane up at the top at 92. Reeves at $9,000 left that game briefly, came back. Again, fully healthy Lakers team. I don't know if we were paying a $9K price tag on Austin Reeves. Wagner's 89. We talked Donovan. Kobe White, 3 straight games of 35 or more actual points at $8,300.
Yeah, Bane's price was just rough to see when I opened up the slate this morning. Thought it was going to be a spot we could attack him at low ownership, but at this price, man, I don't know if I can go there. I'd love targeting him when Ja Morant's out of the lineup. OKC is a great defense, like I mentioned, but I don't mind targeting guys for fantasy against them because they play so fast. But I'm out on Bane at this price. His teammate has an interesting price. He's been much worse here recently, but we'll talk about Triple J when we get to the forward positions. Franz is, I don't know. The ceiling has just disappeared on him. I would much rather play Paolo. I think he has a far better ceiling at this point. Franz could certainly get there. Ownership is currently closer than I would expect it to be, just given the recent trends and the form that they've been in. Yeah. If Franz ends up lower owned, I would have no problem going there because he did put up 50 points earlier this week. Like, it's still in his bag. He just hasn't been doing it near as often.
Yeah. We've been seeing
go ahead.
No, I was going to say, we've been seeing a lot of ownership on Wagner lately, and we kind of speculate maybe it has to do with sort of the position eligibility that he has, because like small forward hasn't been a great spot these last couple of slates here. But we've also faded Franz at this price tag pretty much all season long. So with him being currently the 3rd highest rostered player on the slate, I'm going to let the field take that one.
Same. I'm not on board if that's where his ownership comes in. So out there, the guy I really want to play in this range is Kobe White. You mentioned it, 3 straight games with 35 points. And if you look at some of the underlying stuff, this is a real change for Kobe White. He is driving to the basket at a career high rate. He's getting to the free throw line at a career high rate. He's averaged 11 free throw attempts over the past 3 games. Kobe White is playing incredible basketball. We were on the show just after the trade deadline talking about how terrible of a season he was having. He was unplayable at that point. I don't know what the switch was that flipped, but this is a different version of Kobe White, and I'm excited to put him in my lineups now.
Yeah, the free throws are unbelievable. Like, we preach this all the time. Add it to your game, right? If they're going to give you the calls, go and get those free points there. But then he's also shooting 50% from the floor, also shooting 45+% from 3. Like, it's all coming together. We can live with the few peripheral stats. Good to see the steals start coming through, but 3 and 4 assists, 3 and 2 assists, you're like, and then all of a sudden 35, 36, 37 actual points just carrying the load there. So full on agreement there. Not even going to worry about the $8,300 price tag. You go down into the mid-range, there's a lot of dual positional eligibility. So a handful of these guys we've already discussed. Obviously, there is Castle, there's Dinwiddie. You do have Vassell at $6,900. You mentioned Nembhard. Middleton's back in the lineup tonight. There's potentially for Matherin off the bench. Any of these guys stand out to you as a play you'd be looking to plug?
Vassell is probably the guy that you mentioned there that I'd have the most interest in. Plenty of shots available for the Spurs team. Castle's had the better usage rate in this version of the Spurs, but Vassell is a guy we've known to take a bunch of shots in the past, so I don't mind chasing some ceiling there, even in a tougher matchup. Herder is a guy I think you could look at. I'm a little concerned about the minutes if Lonzo Ball is active.
Yeah, that's the one
He's
thing for
been
me
playing.
too.
Yeah, he's been playing big minutes recently, and he's not a huge per minute guy. He's a scoring dependent guy as well. So a couple of things working against him here today. His recent playing time has been really incredible, but
Yeah.
you do have to worry about if Lonzo Ball is able to make it back. We're not sure what his role is going to look like.
I would imagine Lonzo's probably limited still, like given the
Yes.
extended layoff and his long, obviously injury history. So I could still see Horder maybe getting 28 to 30, but not 36, right? And that's kind of where some of the value with him has laid. Any value for you here? Any one name or two sticking out to you?
Kennard is always interesting when John Morant's out. Hasn't been great here recently, but I think you can look in that direction. Max Strus with Evan Mobley out is a guy that's been limited all year on his minutes. But if he's able, I think there's 30 minutes available for him today. Probably more likely see 25 to 27, but I think 30 is in the range of outcomes. We talked about how good of a matchup that is. Oklahoma City has some guys on the injury report. Aaron Wiggins is out, so Cason Wallace is a guy who potentially could see a little bit of extra time. Talked about AJ Johnson already. Yeah. That's really all I'm seeing down here. Dalen Terry is a guy for the Bulls who's seen an increased role.
Yeah.
Again, you got to be a little bit concerned if Lonzo Ball is active because this rotation could get shaken up a little bit. But like you said, if Lonzo can only play 15 minutes or 20 minutes even, then Terry and Herder, guys like that, should keep their roles. But Terry's been really solid recently. He's about the cheapest guy that you can find that's playable on the slate today. So don't mind him as a punt option.
No, I like it. It's a good call there. Small forward position again. LeBron 10-3 was having a horrific game last night. Still filled up the stat sheet. Had a good second, like more so fourth quarter, and then had the game winner, obviously. 10-3 though for him. We talked about Wagner, third highest rostered player on the slate. Jalen Williams participated in shoot around. We don't have an official out for him yet, so questionable. Could see the return of Jalen Williams, but he's missed a lot of time. Najee Marshall had a huge game, but again, Anthony Davis is back. Wiggins is where all the ownership for today is. I think he's second highest total rostered player today, Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah, LeBron just doesn't quite have the same ceiling, I don't think, with Luka Doncic in the lineup. He's certainly a guy that you can play in large field GPPs. He can go off at any moment. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't tell you not to play him, but he's not going to be a priority for me today. Jalen Williams, I don't think is going to play the minutes. He's been out for quite a while. Probably doesn't see his full allotment. So out on Jalen Williams as well. It's down to Andrew Wiggins for me as well. Hate that the field is on it, but I certainly understand it. Talked about the matchup for Tyler Hero facing Dyson Daniels. Wiggins' usage rate was a shock to me when I was digging in a little bit this morning. 27% with the Heat, and he's been over 30% several times in the last couple of games. So Wiggins has a really nice role for the Heat. A great matchup against Atlanta for him, especially if their primary scoring option is kind of contained in this game. Yeah. I think Wiggins could just absolutely go nuts here.
Yep, I'm with you. Value range, again, a lot of these guys we've kind of touched on. Another one getting ownership tonight is Colby Jones. He has, I think, like every position here. Shooting guard, small forward, 28, 27 minutes the last two games. Nothing like great. I think it's more price related at $3,200 here.
Yeah, this is similar to the Dalen Terry thing. I'm not certain that the role sticks. Like Washington has been known to move things around. He's also not a great per minute producer, so he hasn't done much with those 26, 27 minutes. Yeah. That's why I'm looking at a guy like Dalen Terry instead of Colby Jones. I just think he's a little bit better per minute. Both of the roles are uncertain, so it just depends on what we see from him. But not excited about that play. Trying to see if
I'm gonna let 40% of the field like play that. Yeah, like, that's fine. I'll do something else. I agree with you. Where else are you looking for value then at this position?
I think you need to go up a little bit more. I'd rather stick in this 4K range.
Sure.
Talked about Strus. Keldon Johnson is a guy you could certainly look at. Talked about the shots available for that team. He's a very streaky shooter. If he gets hot, he could find a ceiling. Probably only going to play 25 minutes, but certainly could find a decent fantasy score out of him. Risashe has been seeing extended run at times. He doesn't see it every game, but if he gets up in the 28-minute range instead of the 24-minute range, I think he could look like a pretty decent value.
Yeah.
We talked about Strus already, so those are the kind of the guys I'm looking at. One other name is Alex Caruso. If we already have Aaron Wiggins ruled out, if Jalen Williams doesn't play, he's playable. And there's a couple other guys on the injury report. I believe Cason Wallace is on the injury report, but one of the other wings for the Thunder is on the injury report.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of where you're potentially looking to go on the injury report there.
Yeah, if Wallace and Williams play, then you probably can't play Caruso, but just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, agreed. Dort always has the minutes, so I don't mind that. So, all right, power forward. Banchero and AD are two guys we haven't discussed yet. Would you play Anthony Davis? Played 27 minutes in that return game. Wasn't spectacular. Any interest him, or do you just look at Banchero at 99?
Yeah, it's Banchero for me. I don't trust the minutes for Davis. Even if he plays 30 minutes, I don't think that's enough in this matchup. Talked about the slow pace of Orlando. Could he get it done and burn me? Probably. Do I think it's likely tonight? No. I would much rather play Paolo Banchero. The matchup is tougher for him with AD on the other side, but I'm still not scared of this Dallas defense. No PJ Washington. They're really thin in the front court, and if Davis is limited at all, Paolo's going to eat anytime AD's off the floor. So
yeah.
Has been playing upper 30s minutes every night, has a massive ceiling when he's going right. So give me Paolo tonight.
Yep, agreed. All right, mid-tier range, you have Bam at 83, Siakam 82. You did mention Jaren Jackson Jr. He's 81. Chet on the other side of him. Thoughts on this mid-range?
Yeah, good spot for Bam. Love the matchup for him against Atlanta, another team that's pretty thin in the front court. Pascal Siakam, a guy I have interest in because of the elite matchup against Washington. And Triple J, this one's going to be uncomfortable. It's been a rough ride for Triple J. It's been foul trouble or an injury basically every game he's played over the past 2 weeks. Like it's not been a good stretch. But that's why the price tag is down here at 8,100. I don't care who he's playing. Like if Jaren Jackson is 8,100 without John Morant in the lineup, I have interest. He has almost a 35% usage rate on the season without John Morant on the floor. The recent form is going to keep the field off of him for the most part, and I have interest in going well over the field in tournaments. It's not comfortable. He might get 3 fouls in the first quarter, and I am up a creek. But the upside here is incredible. The matchup against Oklahoma City, I've touched on a little bit. Like they're a great defense, but they play fast enough where you get good at game environments. Memphis plays really fast as well. So overall, it's a good game environment, in my opinion, despite the tough defensive matchup.
Sure.
There's foul trouble risk. He's been banged up, but Triple J has a massive ceiling.
Sure. We've definitely seen it. If he can just avoid the foul trouble, there's certainly a good spot for him there. Aldama continues to start. Again, you can play Wiggins here. Aldama, another guy that has some decent upside. Got off to a super slow start last game out. They came out of the second half and had a strong performance here. See a bunch of guys already ruled out in this next section. DeAndre Hunter is interesting. Obviously, no Evan Mobley. We also just got word from Kenny Atkinson that Ty Jerome's not going to play tonight as well. So, just kind of shortening that bench a little bit more could see Hunter get a nice bump in minutes tonight.
Yeah, that gives me quite a bit of interest in DeAndre Hunter. I even think we could go back to a guy like Sam Merrill potentially, who's seen mid-20s minutes on occasion recently. Ty Jerome out is actually a fairly big deal for me. On a slate where we're starving for value, I wouldn't even rule out names like Isaac Okoro and Dean Wade, as gross as those are to say. But Ty Jerome out definitely is impactful for me on this short slate. DeAndre Hunter is definitely the first name that I would look to there. Yep. Aldama, a guy that you mentioned, has been playing good minutes, so definitely don't mind going there. I talked about Risashe a little bit already. Buzelis hasn't been great for the Bulls. He's starting, not playing a ton of minutes. A guy that I think you could potentially look at, though. Not a lot to love outside of of that. Niang is a guy who's found ceiling when he shoots well, but you're chasing a little bit there.
Hit or miss, right? With Niang, you obviously mentioned Ricochet already. Bazulis showed the ceiling a couple of games ago, but the minutes keep kind of going up and down with him as well. And there's not really a ton of value unless we get something crazy in the starting lineups there. Grande saying the Hunter numbers look good without Jerome and Mobley on the floor, so we're sold. We're sold on the value there with DeAndre Hunter.
Yep.
Center position. A lot of these guys we've discussed. Anyone we haven't talked about, I guess, for you that you're keying in on tonight?
Yeah, covered the top range pretty well. So the only other name there is Vucevic. I don't know. I'd much rather play Kobe White and Josh Giddey. They seem to be the guys the team is looking to build around for the future. Vucevic is kind of on his way out. He's certainly playable, though, if you want to go there. He is on the injury report, so keep an eye on that. Jared Allen is the name to be excited about at the center position, in my opinion. No Evan Mobley gets a little boost in rebounds and in usage. It's the minutes really that are much more solidified with Evan Mobley out of the lineup. We've seen him come off the court at the end of games at times this season and end up with like 26 minutes played. I think as long as the game stays close, I think you're looking at like 30 to 32 minutes for Jared Allen tonight and a massive ceiling as well. So love this price tag for Jared Allen. Miles Turner, another name that has a ton of ceiling given his matchup today, has also been playing really well recently, finding ceiling games with frequency. So don't mind Miles Turner given the matchup. Alex Sarr, a guy who has found more minutes here recently as well. We know the Wizards are tanking. He's their first round pick. They really want to see what they have in this guy. He's been extended to 30 minutes now, 2 games in a row, has been playing well with those minutes as well. A great matchup for him against Indiana, another team that plays fast.
Yeah, I do wonder the back-to-back, I guess, is my
a little concerning.
Concern, but because the last back-to-back it was with the game where they played Vucevic just 4 minutes and they played Rashawn Holmes, and obviously last night Vucevic played a lot of minutes. But I wonder if we see a split here or if they just give Sarr the minutes, because you're not wrong. Like I do like this matchup for both. Honestly, I like the Turner side, even though they're on a back-to-back. I think Allen's was my initial plug for today. Probably won't deviate from that either because I just know Mobley. I really like that, but the Wizards in their rotations, man, super scary for me.
I'm with you on the Allen stuff being the just most comfortable play at the center position by far. Vucevic is really interesting if you think Sarr is limited at all. These are the types of edges that I'm talking about in these situations. Vucevic is a massive fantasy point per minute player. I'm talking like 1.6, 1.7, 1.8, somewhere like he's up in like elite territory per minute.
Yeah.
If he finds extra minutes in this spot,
he's also a guy to find minutes, right?
Exactly.
The last back-to-back, they didn't play him for out of the blue. He was like 27% rostered and nobody played him, and they didn't play him. So that's like my lone worry there. Like I would love for them just to rule out Rashawn Holmes or something like that, so we didn't have to worry about it because he hasn't played since that game. So again, a little scary. I think Obi Toppin is somebody we can look at. 19 minutes in that last game. He has been a high fantasy point per minute guy, but it is a back-to-back. Again, the last opportunities that maybe they rest Miles Turner or this game becomes a blowout and he gets some additional minutes. I think there's a chance for that. And then you have Kai Jones at 4,900 who played pretty well next to AD the other day also.
Yeah, Kai Jones has been a pretty good per minute producer here since joining the Mavs. The minutes aren't that strong. He's been playing low 20s, around 24 each night. But like you said, he still started even though AD was active a few games ago. So don't mind that. Khalil Ware, a name that we didn't mention. Certainly think you can go there. Atlanta short in the front court. They have to deal with Bam and Ware. Like one of these guys should be able to absolutely do whatever they want. Yeah. More than likely it's Bam, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if it was Ware.
No, I really like Ware again, playing the center position, double-digit shot attempts, 4 straight games. Good on the glass. We can give some defense. So happy to run Ware out there as well. Anything else for you on the slate? Any other positions? Maybe we missed one that you want to talk about, or you're ready to build a line here today?
Saw the question in chat about Vucevic's backup if he is out. That's a good question, honestly. Like they have been flip-flopping Zach Collins and Jalen Smith. So I think everybody's going to flock to the starter, but that presents an interesting GPP scenario for me. If, say, Collins starts, like Smith is certainly in the rotation at that point. So that's an interesting pivot. Like,
Yeah.
just depending on what time we get the news, if for some reason the Bulls starter at center that's not Vooch becomes really popular, I think playing the other guy is an interesting way to play some tournaments.
I agree. Anthony Davis officially in for tonight. But yeah, obviously Jalen Smith, huge fantasy point per minute guy. Where is Collins? What price? It's right here, 35. So again, hasn't been playing a lot lately, but could be the guy. So whoever starts would definitely be interesting. And like you said, if no Vuk, both of them are definitely going to play. You just play the other one, like you said there. So a good shout there. All right, let's get a lineup going here. The DFS buddy said he's got Wagner over Banchero for cheaper. You can. It's just that we've seen a higher ceiling out of Banchero, and those price tags are getting closer and closer together.
I would agree with that if the ownership was different, but what's being projected around the industry right now, it's really close together. It's like within 5 points, and that's not enough for me.
Yeah, Wagner with Banchero, 20%, Wagner 27 is what I'm looking at. So yeah, pretty much there. All right, let's get a lineup. I think we both were in on Jared Allen.
Yep.
And Anthony Black will do for some value here, 4K. $6,500. Wiggins was the other one we liked.
Yep.
And then where do we want to go next?
I want one of the Bulls guys.
One of the Bulls.
I like Kobe White for sure because of the price. He's a little cheaper than Giddey, and I just love what I'm seeing in the underlying stuff from Kobe White.
I agree. That one works for me here as well. Let's see. If we just plug Banchero, like it was just 4,800. Do we have enough value? What was Hunter? Was Hunter cheap?
48. Yep.
48. Okay, so that fills that.
Keldon Johnson, another guy I don't mind in that range. Johnson for the Wizards, assuming that he's then, I think is strong value.
Oh yeah, Johnson's a good one. Okay, and that gives us a 54. 54. Kai Jones is 49. If like Williams was the start, I would go there at 51, or like be active. I would play him at 51. I think Grande said he's got 5 games left, so there is a chance that he gets some run there. All right, 5,400, kind of in a weird tier here.
Yeah, not a great range.
Not a great
Carter Jr.'s not exciting at all. He'll be out there, but I don't love that play.
Yeah, they'll need him go up against Anthony Davis, right?
Yeah.
All right. What if we did Hunter at power forward, and then that gives us 7,650 a play for forward and a util. If we did Halliburton on the other side, that gives us 66 forward, and that would be like Aldama or Thompson. That's still not great. Jesus, some ugly looking price points here.
Yeah, only 6 games. It limits your options a little bit. You fall into these weird pricing ranges where.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you like Triple J, we could do like Triple J and Daniels or something like that here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to play a ton of Triple J tonight.
Okay.
I'm not saying that everybody else has to because it could go very, very poorly, but I do like the spot for him.
All right, I'm good with this then. Black, White, Wiggins, Hunter, Allen, Johnson, Jackson, and Daniels with $100 left over. Again, slate starts at 7 p.m. Final slate's at 8 o'clock. Keith has your playbook out. Grindy and I will have the preview show out a little bit later on tonight. Good luck with your NBA DFS contest, everybody.